This is a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. It starts at $340,000. This is the Shanghai N7. It costs $9,000. And from right here, you genuinely can't tell the difference. It has the Pantheon grille, the suicide doors, the boxy "I own a yacht" silhouette. It even has a Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament, though this one looks less like a goddess and more like she's had a rough weekend. But here's what makes this story interesting. This isn't just a cheap knockoff. It's the bottom rung of a ladder that's reaching straight into the luxury stratosphere. Because while the Shanghai N7 is busy fooling valets and viral TikToks, another group of Chinese automakers is building SUVs that don't want to copy the Cullinan, they want to replace it. Let's start with the obvious question. What exactly is the Shanghai N7? It's built by SG Auto, also known as Hongqi, a Chinese manufacturer that's been around since the 1980s making buses and budget SUVs. The N7 launched in 2020, and it's what happens when you ask an AI to draw a Rolls-Royce Cullinan but only give it $9 worth of crayons. Under the hood, you've got a 2.0-liter Mitsubishi 4G63 engine. Yes, that Mitsubishi 4G63, the same engine they put in the Lancer Evolution 20 years ago. Except in the Shanghai, it's been detuned to 190 horsepower, paired with a transmission that has all the urgency of a sloth on Ambien, and dropped into a body that weighs 5,000 pounds. 0 to 60? Don't ask. Seriously, don't. The brochure doesn't list it, and there's a reason for that. The interior is where the illusion shatters. The leather seats are vinyl that squeaks when you sit down. The wood trim is, well, it's definitely brown. The infotainment screen has the resolution of a Nintendo DS, and the air conditioning controls feel like they're going to fall off if you look at them aggressively. But, and this is crucial, it has the vibe. The rear doors open backward. There's a Starlight headliner, though it's made of about 12 LEDs that look like they were installed by a distracted intern. And when you close those heavy doors, there's a thunk that, if you're not paying attention, sounds expensive. That's why these things went viral. There's a whole genre of YouTube videos where creators try to fool valets with the Shanghai N7. And here's the wild part. It works. Sometimes. One creator in Dubai, where they see actual Cullinans every 5 minutes, managed to get the valet to take the keys and open the door before the double take. 20 feet away, in the right light, with the right angle, the silhouette is uncanny. It's only when you get within touching distance that you realize the panel gaps are wide enough to stick your finger through. But the question isn't whether it's good, it's why it exists at all. China is the world's largest car market. They buy more vehicles every year than the US and Europe combined. But for decades, they were the world's factory, not the world's designer. They built cars for Volkswagen, Toyota, and Buick, but their own brands were afterthoughts, cheap transportation for rural areas. Then something changed. Around 2015, Chinese consumers started getting wealthy. Really wealthy. And they wanted luxury. But luxury isn't just about features. It's about heritage, about story, about 100 years of racing pedigree and coach-building tradition that you can't fake. Or can you? China doesn't have a Rolls-Royce. It doesn't have a Bentley. What it has is manufacturing expertise that can reverse engineer anything, and a domestic market large enough to support weird experiments. The Hongqi N7 isn't meant for export. It's for Chinese entrepreneurs in third-tier cities who want to look successful at their daughter's wedding without spending house money on a car. It's automotive cosplay, and in a country where face matters more than almost anything, there's a market for that. But while Shanghai was busy building the $9,000 Cullinan, other Chinese automakers were playing a completely different game. This is the Voya Dreamer. It's $70,000. It's electric, and it is not trying to be a Rolls-Royce. The Dreamer is built by Dongfeng, one of China's big 4 state-owned automakers, but it's their premium brand. At 5.3 meters long, it's actually bigger than the Cullinan. 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. Air suspension that actually works. The seats? Nappa leather from the same German tanneries that supply Mercedes and BMW. The rear seats recline, massage, heat, cool, and have footrests. But here's the difference. While the Hongqi N7 wants you to think it's a Rolls-Royce, the Voya wants you to forget Rolls-Royce exists. There's no fake Pantheon grille, no Spirit of Ecstasy. The design is clean, modern, distinctly Chinese, with a global sensibility. The interior has screens everywhere, because Chinese luxury buyers are younger than their European counterparts, and they want tech, not tradition. And this is where it gets dangerous for established luxury brands. The Voya isn't competing on heritage, it's competing on what luxury actually means in 2026. Silence, space, and software. Then there's the Zeekr 9X, unveiled at the 2025 Shanghai Auto Show. This thing caused an actual stir among automotive journalists because, Well, look at it. It's not a copy. The grille is different, the lights are different. But the proportions, the long hood, the upright windshield, the sheer visual weight, place it in the same visual universe as the Cullinan and the Range Rover. But under the skin, it's from another planet. The 9X uses a 900-volt electrical architecture. That means it can add 300 miles of range in 15 minutes. It has LiDAR, 11 cameras, and a computing platform that can handle full autonomous driving when the software is ready. The hybrid version pairs a 2.0-liter engine with electric motors for a combined 800 horsepower. Rolls-Royce just launched their first EV, the Spectre. It has 580 horsepower and costs $420,000. The Zeekr 9X will likely cost under $100,000 when it goes on sale next year. That's not a typo, that's disruption. But the most controversial entry in this space isn't from a traditional automaker at all. It's from Xiaomi. Yes, the phone company. In 2024, Xiaomi launched the SU7 sedan, and it looked familiar. Porsche lawyers probably had some meetings. But it sold 100,000 units in its first year. Now they're prepping an SUV, and the renderings show something that looks remarkably like a Cullinan, if the Cullinan was designed by someone who'd never seen one in person, but had read a lot of forum posts about it. The grille is massive. The proportions are off in subtle ways. And the interior? It's basically a living room. Rear seats that recline to 160 degrees. A 31-inch 8K screen that drops from the ceiling. A refrigerator between the seats. Critics immediately pointed out the missing B-pillar. For structural rigidity, that's a nightmare. In a side-impact collision, the B-pillar is what keeps you alive. Xiaomi claims they've reinforced the door frames and used ultra-high-strength steel. But engineers online immediately started doing the math, and it doesn't look good. This is the risk of tech companies building cars. They understand user experience. They understand screens and software. But 130 years of automotive safety engineering? That's harder to download. The question isn't whether Xiaomi can build a fast, comfortable, tech-filled SUV. They absolutely can. The question is, when you remove the B-pillar to make the doors more dramatic, are you prioritizing the Instagram photo over the crash test? Because in a real luxury car, the luxury is that you don't die. The engineering is invisible, but it's everything. So here's the real question this whole phenomenon raises. What is luxury? Rolls-Royce will tell you it's heritage. It's the 120 years of history. It's the fact that a single craftsman spends 17 days stitching the interior leather by hand. It's the bespoke paint mixed with actual diamond dust. It's the knowledge that your car was built by people who've been training for decades, not algorithms optimizing for quarterly earnings. But the Voya Dreamer will tell you luxury is space. It's silence. It's the fact that your car knows your schedule, pre-cools the cabin before you get in, and drives itself through traffic while you take a Zoom call. It's not about where the leather came from. It's about whether the massage function has a hot stone setting. And the Hongqi LS7? It tells you luxury is just looking like you made it. It's the automotive equivalent of a fake Rolex. It tells the world you're playing the game, even if you can't afford the buy-in. All three can be true at once. And in China, they are. The domestic market is big enough to support the $9,000 Knockoff and the $70,000 Dreamer and the $100,000 Zeekr simultaneously. While Western automakers are still debating whether to go electric, Chinese consumers are already on their second or third EV. They don't have the emotional attachment to combustion engines. They don't care about V12s and exhaust notes. They care about the experience. And if the experience is a backseat that reclines into a bed with a footrest and a 4K screen, that's luxury. But here's the twist. This isn't staying in China. The Voya Dreamer is already exporting to Europe. Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands. The Zeekr 9X will follow. And while American tariffs are keeping them out of the US for now, the technology isn't staying behind borders. Rolls-Royce knows this. BMW knows this. They're watching Chinese auto shows the way German coaches used to watch Brazilian soccer academies, looking for the next threat, because the threat isn't that China will copy the Cullinan forever. The threat is that they'll build something better. Imagine a Rolls-Royce that updates its software over the air. That drives itself through London traffic. That charges in 15 minutes and has a 600-mile range. That costs $150,000 instead of $450,000. That's not science fiction. That's the roadmap. And Chinese automakers are already building it. The Hongqi LS7 is a joke. But it's the first chapter of a story that's getting very serious, very fast. Because today, it's $9,000 knockoffs going viral on TikTok. Tomorrow, it's $90,000 luxury SUVs that make you question why anyone would pay for a badge. The Cullinan isn't going anywhere. But for the first time in a century, Rolls-Royce and best luxury SUV aren't automatically the same sentence. And that's the real disruption.